All right, it's another week. Welcome to the Sunshine State Happy Hour, powered by Florida Beer Media, home of Florida Beer Blog and Lager Layover Podcast and all that other good fun stuff. We are sponsored by Bravadis Media, so check them out at bravadis.com or at Bravadis for all of your social media needs. We are going to be continuing our chats with brewers from here in Florida and around the United States, and we are going to be starting on the West Coast, close to Sanibel Island, which, if you have not been there, is rather gorgeous and maybe a little bit stuffy. I don't know. It happens. So, but close to there is Point Ybel Brewing, and we are talking to the janitor, brewer, owner, everything that you could possibly need and more, Jordan Weisberg. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and it sounds like you got some fun stuff cooking behind you.
Yep, always.
So I will start with this question because it is kind of an interesting place. Sanibel Island is known more for vacationing and relaxation. It's not necessarily known as a hotspot for drinking or going crazy. It's definitely not like South Padre Island or Daytona or something like that. But you're pretty close to them in terms of being a brewery. In fact, you're the only, with the exception of that really awesome grocery store that's on the island, you're really the closest craft beer.
Yeah.
Why that location to open up a spot?
Well, we're conveniently located in between Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel. So if you're heading down Summerlin, which is the main road coming from Fort Myers, you can make a right. Right off of it would take you to our brewery. A left to take you to Fort Myers Beach, and going straight would take you to Sanibel. And there's nowhere else to grab craft beer other than the grocery store. Our thing is my own thing is I don't ever know how fresh IPAs or a lot of beer is in stores, and so I'm always about going to the source for it. So we have tons of cans and stuff to go here. We do everything in cans, from crowlers to 16-ounce cans, and this way, you're good for the pool and the beach by swimming by.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, obviously, you mentioned two places that are very, very dependent on tourism. Mm-hmm. And seeing as today is Memorial Day, but we are still kind of in the throes of the COVID-19 quarantine. Have you noticed a significant drop-off in the number of snowbirds or out-of-town visitors that you usually get to the tap room?
It's been pretty crazy lately. I expected a big drop-off, and we changed our whole tap room design to go only when this all happened. We kind of had to. That was our only option. And we were surprised at the response to go beer. And so we had to ramp up our canning operation. At first it was like so quick that I was ordering cans, and I'd run out of labels, and I'd run out of lids, and I'd run out of 4-pack toppers, and I was, reaching here and there to get all the things together, and finally I've got them all, and now we're things are starting to open back up, and I know that as people go back to work, more people will be drinking less at home on a daily basis. I mean, that's kind of probably how it's going to go, but with the holidays, we would have seen, obviously, if we were open right now, we would have had a busy tasting room. We're open. We just this week started opening our tap room open for draft sales. And that's because we have a food vendor here, and that's kind of lumps us in with restaurants. So we're at the 50% capacity and all that. We're closed on Mondays, but yeah, the rest of the week we'll kind of see. But it's been good since we did. I think Friday and Saturday were our first 2 days back open.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the ruling that came down from on high that breweries, if you had a food truck there on site, you could, as one collective sum, be considered a restaurant and therefore open up at 50% capacity. The one question I've always been curious about for yourself and for the other breweries that are in the area that don't have an on-site kitchen, was there a mad dash to get as many food trucks lined up as you possibly could? Or do you have a partnership with enough people to where it was really just resuming normal operation?
I think that there was a mad dash. where we're located, our landlord wasn't really allowing us to have food trucks already, so I had to kind of renegotiate to get that. And what we ended up doing is because catering is also included in this, whatever it is that they're making us,
Okay.
lump us in with restaurants. So we ran a deal with our we have neighbors that we have restaurants all around us, but one in our same complex, and so we have menus here, and they order. People can order here, and it gets delivered over. So, and it's kind of a deal we're running with them to kind of keep us in that, that deal. So we don't have to deal with a food truck being here and then them not making money. It's my biggest worry is having a food truck here and everyone just comes here already have eaten or just not interested, and I hate wasting their time. So this kind of helps keep that at a minimum.
Cool. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So, I know that you mentioned that you've had to ramp up your can sales and you still have a lot of beer in production. What are you drinking right now?
I'm drinking
nice and light and crisp.
This is the Bud Weisberg Kolsch. So it's obviously a play on words, but it's our family dog's name is Buddy, and my last name is Weisberg. So Bud Weisberg is had to be a beer name at one point. So it's a nice crispy Kolsch. My favorite beer to drink here at the brewery. But we got tons of beers on tap right now.
I definitely agree with you. It's one of my favorite styles, and it's kind of one of those beautiful beers to start with when you're going someplace new, just to see how good the brewers actually are. So I'm kind of intrigued about trying some.
Yeah, it says something. I mean, like if you can nail a crispy light beer, and I think it definitely helps when it's a beer that the brewer likes to drink, because I'm going to make sure it's right there where it's. I mean, I judge everything based off of things I've had. So whatever the best beer I've had, what I'm in the mood for, I'm shooting to make at all times. So whether it's New England's or stouts or whatever it is, I'm doing the research on it. But.
Gotcha. Well, I was going to say, what really sells well, because in terms of Southwest Florida, mind you, the game is very much changing for the better because there's a lot of explosion going on in that area, but it's traditionally obviously not as ahead of the game as places like Jacksonville or Tampa were. So do you find yourself making a lot of standard, easy to drink styles, or have you and everybody else managed to educate the populace enough to where you can start pushing the envelope a little bit?
Yeah. Well, 6 years ago when we opened, I think it was like maybe 6 months later, I started making sours. And there was not at the time, there's only one other brewery. It was Fort Myers Brewing, and they weren't making sours. So when I put no one down here locally, there wasn't really anything in distribution that was sours at that time. So at that, it was pretty crazy to see, people come in and try a sour for the first time and their expression. And that ended up being one of our best sellers now. So we've definitely introduced styles. New England, same thing. When no one else is brewing New England IPAs, and ours started off as almost an accident. I was just making beers that were less bitter and hoppier in aroma, and I didn't realize that's what I was making at the time. And then kind of realized there was more to it, and then started researching it and doing more, making them way better than they were. But yeah, it's interesting in that. But as far as it depends on the season here. If we get people in Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach coming down from all over the world, and they've had beer from all of their favorite breweries in their own towns. So when they come here, we get basically people that want everything. I don't have a very big local area to concentrate on, where if I was just in a small town in Wisconsin, I could say, okay, these people like this, and that's what I'll make. So I have a menu of like 24 different beers on tap at all times, and luckily I enjoy making new stuff and challenging myself and researching different styles and how I can make them awesome and make people who come down here looking for them like them. But Yeah, it's kind of it's across the board what people come here for. New England
Did he-
IPA sours have been the best sellers.
Gotcha.
Stouts, on occasion.
Okay. Do people, a lot of the snowbirds, a lot of the visitors, do they come down with some of the beers that they're used to, some of the beers that they have back home, and kind of give them to you and say, here, try this, see what you can do with this?
Yeah. I've got a cooler full of New Glarus that someone just brought me, and I've got, I've got way too many beers in the back right now for me to go through. I don't know if they necessarily say, try this and try to make this, but they just try to share what they drink, and that obviously gives me inspiration, where if it's something that I try and I'm like, wow, this is like mind-blowing, I'm going to definitely try to make it, because it's whatever I like to drink is pretty much what I end up making. So
Okay.
I guess it's, if I'm inspired enough by something, I will go for it. But I've got pretty free reign for the most part.
Are you as excited as everybody else is about Allagash White coming down for a brief summer stay?
I didn't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's awesome. I actually brewed a beer a few months ago called Teeny Captain, and it was based off of Allagash White. Even though I've only had it once, I went online and looked up if anyone had tried making it and tried to make it without actually getting to sit there and drink it and design it. But that turned out good. But I'm excited.
Okay.
So I'll definitely, if I like it, I'm gonna try to go for it.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like you have had the issues that everybody else has had in terms of packaging, in terms of getting the cans, getting the labels, getting something to put the beer in. Is that sort of, I guess, with Southwest Florida, are there enough people that are canning? Are there enough people that are packaging to where that's where you're able to go to? Had you had to go out of state, like I've seen some other breweries do, how much fighting did you have to go through to solve this particular problem for yourself compared to others?
To get the canning going?
Oh, no, during, or guess getting the materials to package during the quarantine.
Well, I ordered all these things knowing early on, knowing that there was probably going to be shortages. So I didn't have too much of an issue. However, I did go the wrong route with where I was getting my 16-ounce cans. I ordered my crowlers ahead of time. So those came in at a good time. But the 16-ounce cans surpassed the crowler sales by far, because I think people like to drink 4-packs better than having a full 32 ounces. So
yeah.
It's
interesting that you mentioned the tall boys and not a 12-ounce can. So you're going more for those?
Yeah, 12-ounce cans aren't very big here, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure if I did 12-ounce cans, people would buy them, but I think 16-ounce fills your cup, whereas there's not many 12-ounce cups around there. So if you're going to pour your can into a glass, you kind of want a full glass. But other than that, it depends on the style, too. If you have a 16-ounce of an Imperial Stout, it's kind of a lot. But, it's a shareable. Yeah. You have 2 8-ounce pours. It's pretty good. Better than 32 ounces, because then you are stuck with either 32 ounces to yourself or sharing it however many ways. But, the 16-ounce cans have been rocking it for us.
Cool. And you have that prepackaged at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, we bought a new fridge when this all happened. We got a big sliding door fridge for cans. We just bought a canning line that's coming in late September. All of this because of the coronavirus deal. Realizing that more people are going to probably want to drink at home, and also how well it does for us. If everyone comes in and buys some pints and then also takes a beer 4-pack to go, that just increases every tab by 20% or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a smart business move.
Absolutely. And has it managed to, obviously no numbers or anything, but has it managed to supplant the traditional stay and drink a few times crowd?
Yeah, because if someone comes in and buys a case, that's as if they were sitting and drinking 24 beers or whatever. So, it's obviously not the same price. We discount the cans a bit, but it's still, it's still like if we had 30 people come in and buy a case of beer, that's more sales than we would see in some normal weekdays, So
Yeah.
so that's definitely been pretty eye opening.
Yeah. But obviously, like you were saying, now you're able to open up with at least 50% capacity and so on. What sort of things did you and your staff have to do to your tap room to maintain that number?
Yeah, taking out, well, for one, just removing the bar seating, which is mandatory. And then we took out.
And from what I remember, that's a pretty sizable bar. It's runs almost the length of the tap room.
Ridiculously big, yeah. So taking out the bar seating is pretty much 50% of our seats, and then spacing out of all of the other tables we have, and then we're using barrels as high tops, and have the amount of seating that would make 50% capacity. So basically, we're saying, I mean, like I said, this is new, and we have yet to find out what it's going to be like if more people come in than we have seats for. What I have posted and what it says is, if there's no seats, then you have to take your beer to go or wait. And that's what the bartenders know. Waiting outside, is kind of the, what's going to happen there. But I'm hoping this doesn't last much longer, and we can maybe just not have to experience that. But we are at a season as well. After Easter is kind of the end of our season, so we're already 50% capacity at that point. I mean, that's pretty much what we get from now until, I don't know, October.
Which is interesting because it's almost the opposite of the rest of Florida, especially Central Florida. This is starting the tourist season.
Yeah.
And really in your area and places like that, it's sort of ending the season. Everybody's sort of going back to where they came from and so on.
Yeah.
Are you super dependent on the seasonal crowds to maintain this? Because I've heard some other breweries that they know of people that weren't doing so well as they were kind of waiting for the season to start up. Obviously, this sort of ended the season prematurely, and they may not be coming back, as it were.
I mean, we're fine. We were able to get a small business loan, and so that definitely helped a lot. And then from there, the can sales have been awesome, so that has definitely helped. As far as our staff goes, we did the all together beer with the other half.
Okay.
And so all the proceeds go to them for that one. So that helps them make up for the tip they lost. So that's going to be the biggest thing is, that's where a lot of the employees kind of depend on the tips from season to get to the summer. We do too. We on the sales, but we've been smart about it and kind of put money aside for these kind of things. So, but yeah, we'll be okay with all this. But I mean, we have a great local following either way, so we'll stay busy throughout.
Yeah, do you really feel that there's a lot to be concerned about with the Southwest Florida craft scene, or do you think, kind of like you mentioned, there's enough local following and enough buzz and enough people that enjoy it to where once this is over, everybody will just be back to normal?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's going to still be concerned with going out in public. At least some people will be, getting around too many people. So that's why we've got the canner coming in, so we can do more of that. We set up our tap room, so when you walk in, you can go straight to the to-go area and stay away from the main seating. So if you are still concerned with being around people and all that, then you still have the option to come in and grab cans to go, and we're going to do more of that. And that's kind of been the biggest change is gearing more towards to go and almost making to go the main thing, and having pints in the tap room is almost secondary to that. So what we have left after canning is what's on tap, and then we're going that way. So
gotcha.
I think that's,
I guess that begs the question: do you think you'll start ramping up distro?
No, I'm not. Distribution is good for getting your name out there for a brewery our size, but doesn't do anything for us financially, really. Um, we have to mark our product down so much so that the distributor can mark it up so they can make their cut. And I
Yeah,
don't like making beers that are marked downable. I guess
that makes sense.
put a lot of work into them, and not jabbing anyone else that does a lot of distro. They make beers their own way, and it's great for them. But the way that I'd like to, and the way that I like to brew is just um, it's just distribution doesn't work for us. So we do some, but I think with the canning, we may not really need to do much of it, and that gets our name out there, if not better than doing distribution. So.
Excellent. That's great to hear. So I will say a quick story. The first time that I went into your location with my wife, you were testing out flying inflatable shark balloons
Oh my god!
because you're about to film a commercial for one of the Sharknado movies. Do you still have those balloons around, or are they long gone?
No, and that's a whole other story.
Oh gosh.
So you came a long time ago. Then that was the last time you were here. Was then?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
yeah,
wow!
it's been. I mean, there's so much going on in Southwest Florida, and we don't go that often. It's
That's
easy to not go to the same place twice.
Yeah, the brewery's changed quite a bit since then. Now that was fun, and that was like we used to do a lot of stuff like that. So that we were under different ownership at that time, and that's a whole other story. I don't know if you want to get into the backstory of Point Ybel, but either way, long story short, I've been the brewer since day one, and I ended up taking over ownership from the people that were here before. And
Excellent.
so now, we remodeled the whole place. If you come in, it's not going to look like you remembered it. That was fun. That was like, we almost had like a pub feeling, like a pub
Mm-hmm.
setting, dark.
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
like a lot of wood, and it's
Uh-huh.
still kind of, the wood part's there, but it's brighter. It's more open. We've taken out a lot of stuff. We've built a merchandise area, a to-go area. It's more like set up like a business should be, and less like
Okay.
a bachelor pad should be. Uh, so it's yeah. And as far as the tap list goes, they got menus now. But yeah, everything is set up the way that I dreamed it would be when I
Perfect.
first started homebrewing and thought of having a brewery one day. And I think it was the power of intention that got me to the point that I am, where I ran the brewery as if it was mine until the day it did become mine, and then and now it's a much better operation because I'm it's me from start to finish, where before it was going through so many different hands and things were getting lost in translation. It was like playing a game of telephone. So with a business, it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
you should definitely come back and see it the way it is.
I'm looking forward to it. It's amazing to watch the name just grow and grow and grow over the years.
Yeah.
It's been really neat.
Yeah.
So I will leave you with the last question that I leave everybody. You mentioned it a little bit with the canning, obviously, so I'm curious as to whether your answer will go there or someplace else. But I've been talking to a lot of brewers, and obviously everybody's had to make changes. Everybody's had to do something a little bit different now than they ever had before to make it through the quarantine. Once it's completely over, once we are at 100% and nobody is getting sick anymore, knock on wood, are there any changes that you at Point Ybel made or brewers that you've seen made that you feel should just be a part of craft beer from here on out?
Yeah, I think making sure everything is safe for everyone. I mean, I guess we're always at risk of getting something, whether it's flu or cold or any kind of thing that's going around. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that to-goes are definitely brought forward as a something we should be doing more often here. So yeah, I guess kind of like I guess I said before, having the to-go area being primary,
Excellent. Say hi for me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jordan Weisberg, owner, head brewer, and pretty much everything else at Point Ybel Brewing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate your time. Tomorrow, our interview is going to be with all sorts of people from Florida Avenue Brewing. They are building a huge facility, so we're going to chat a little bit about that and some of the things that they've done to kind of get through here. Don't forget, if you want to find more information on us, we're at floridabeerblog.com, and Florida Beer Podcast and the Lager Layover Podcast are available anywhere you find good podcasts. And one of these days, I'm going to head out and I'm going to sit Jordan down for a good long conversation about the whole history of Point Ybel Brewing, because I'm definitely intrigued now. So, and I want to see the new location or the remodeling. Maybe play with those sharks. Other than that, thank you all so much for coming out. Have a great rest of your evenings. Try to stay dry. It's pretty wet out there for most of you in Florida land. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Cheers.